Hello! Welcome to week 6. This is going to be the second video, and this is your yarn video. So this is your awareness, your resilience, your nurturing. So normally this is where we're going to target one health thread at a time. We're going to look at the science, we're going to look at the why, we're going to look at the how, and we're going to unravel into something that actually makes sense. And again, sometimes I researched it, sometimes Koneko researched it. And let's be real, a lot of times Koneko researched it first, and then I looked into it, and I trust but verify. Okay? Either way, still your yarn. So this week's yarn is going to be a little different. It's going to be more of a PSA. It's going to be a public service announcement kind of thing. It is going to be some information. We're going to learn a lot. But it's stuff that's very, very important to me that have came to mind a lot this week. It's going to be about two very different topics. They're going to be both very important, and neither are talked about nearly enough. This week I'm going to talk about PTSD, and I'm going to talk about the importance of spaying and neutering your cats. Yeah, I know that's not really it, but we'll get into it. It's okay. I know these two topics don't seem connected at all, but both come down to one thing: awareness, responsibility, and care for ourselves and for the animals who depend on us. And the ones that keep interrupting. She's being good right now. It's okay. So, let us start, apparently, in a second. Hold on. See, my cats knew I was talking about them. Anyway. Here they are. Anyway. So we are going to start. I'm going to pre-warn you, a lot of these things that I talk about are serious things. I grew up in a household where I have a very, well, not so much a household, but I grew up with very dark humor. I like to crack jokes when things are uncomfortable. So pre-warning, that's my personality. Okay? So, anyways, just pre-warning because that might happen. But we're going to start with PTSD, and this is the thread that we just don't talk enough about. Okay? PTSD, it's not always something that's dramatic. It's not always loud, and sometimes it just looks like something as simple as and as life-altering as not being able to sit in a car without your whole body going into survival mode. Unfortunately, that's mine. For me, it didn't start with an accident. It wasn't that. Well, it kind of did, but we're going to talk about that. It started long before basically the final thing that it caused everything. So how it started was there was a near miss on the highway. Basically, a car jack fell off. Well, flew like it was a truck, like one was like hanging there, and it flew off, and it like literally went across the highway and landed right on the windshield, like right where James is sitting. You know, this be my husband, and I'm in the passenger seat, and it bounced off the windshield. Thank goodness. But basically, if it had gone through, it would have gone through and been bad. So it was like a full final destination moment, basically. It's the kind of thing that you joke about later, but only because you survived it. Scary. Very, very scary. And I was still mostly fine. A little jittery, but I was fine in a car. Good to go. What's happened, though, is that it did, however, my nervous system went, I remember that, and it kept on to it, even though it didn't really affect me too much. And then there was a second accident, and this is the one that actually triggered everything for me. This is the part that surprises most people, is that the second accident, I wasn't even in it at all. I wasn't anywhere near the accident. But it was hearing what had happened. Like, I got a phone call from my husband letting me know that, because he was coming over to pick me up, and some driver in a truck on his phone, don't text and drive, please, people, he decided that was more important than paying attention to the signals around him, and he barreled through and he ran the light, and it totaled my car. And my husband's, after he woke up from whatever he passed out from, he's calling me, and he's literally trying to get the ambulance people to come pick me up because I'm in the middle of dropping off a rental car, which is where he's coming to pick me up from. He's freaking out, and I'm trying to find people. Is this whole event, basically I heard about this, I got to hear about the accident, I got to hear about the aftermath, I got to head to the hospital. He's fine, by the way. But it was this whole terrifying thing that happened, and I wasn't even in the car. But that was the final straw that caused everything. But basically, I went from the girl who loved being on long road trips that would put my feet on the dash. We all know that's not safe either. You know, you have your hand out the window, you're singing at the top of your lungs, you're just having the best time. I went from that to someone who has to close her eyes while we're going through. Now I squeak or I squeal when it seems like there's a car coming too close to me, just intersection. Cars just here to the stop sign, and I'm like, or cars pulling up alongside on the highway, or that turn is just a little too fast, and I kind of freak out a little bit. And the thing is that kind of freak out a little bit is a lot better than what I was, and we'll talk about that. But because I'll go over some things. But the thing is that I went from that to that, and I can't help that fear. And the thing about PTSD is it doesn't care if you were physically there. It only cares what your brain perceives as danger. Now, I'm not alone in this. I'm not trying to say, oh, look at me. No, I'm not alone. A lot of people have it, depending, because people go through things. A lot of people go through things. One of my biggest things that I am a full advocate for is our veterans. I've spoken about how I come from a very big military family, and I've gotten really lucky, but as far as I know, that none of my family have gone through this. I mean, they may have just not told me, but I have known people that have, and I hear the stories. And a lot, and unfortunately, it's a lot of our vets, because it's a hard job, but they go through it every single day, and a lot of times our vets do go through it silently, and it's not because they're weak, it's just because they've lived through things that most people they'll never have to imagine. There's combat, loss, trauma, hypervigilance, moral injury, survivor's guilt. They're heavy things to carry. And they don't disappear just because you come home. Just because you survived. They're there. And it's not a character flaw, and it's not a lack of strength. It's a psychological response to trauma. The brain rewires itself to keep you alive. Is what it's trying to do. Now, a few things that can help if you are struggling with this, just let you know, or you know somebody that is. Two things that I'm using, and there are other programs, of course. Two things that I use is what we spoke about with the Learn to Live, the CBT, the Cognitive Behavioral Therapy. And what this does is it helps you retrain your brain. It helps you, basically it teaches you how to challenge those fear-based thoughts. And to help you, by challenging that, helps you calm that physical response and slowly build new pathways that say, I am safe now. We spoke about how Learn to Live with the CBT helped me through my social anxiety. Is it still there? Yes. Can I function now? Yes. So it's helped me out greatly with that. I'm currently working through the program for panic. Is it still there? Yeah, well, I'm still working through it, but I'm noticing a lot of things, and I'm noticing I'm calmer as I'm working through it, and hopefully it'll, again, help me become somebody that can not have to deal with that. So one thing as I'm working through my everyday panic, because I can't have enough panic in my life apparently, but with learning what I'm using it for those parts, and speaking with my therapist and speaking with my coach, I have decided that I'm going to attempt to, starting hopefully this week, start doing the things that they've trained me to do so far, which is to start writing down, like, what am I really thinking, and to challenge those thoughts and say what's really going through my brain when these things happen. Like, and think of all the little things and what's going through my brain and stuff like that. And after that, I'll maybe find some I think my therapist said she might have some things, but maybe try some exercises like I'm doing now, like with the panic, fast breathing. I get that panic response, and then maybe find a few things that'll help me with so I experience the responses. And I think part of it after that is to actually do it, which means I gotta go out. Now, what this means for me on a normal everyday basis is that being a passenger is very hard for me in a car. I can only be in a car currently, really, with my husband only being the driver. It affected my driving in cities, and technically right now, until I get new glasses, I shouldn't be driving myself anyway, so I have to be the passenger. So I don't go out much. But we're working on it. But anyways, CBT, really good. The other thing I want to tell you about, which is another thing that I've actually tried a few times, and it's making it easier each time for me to do this. It's called EMDR. Now this is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And now this is one where you follow a dot or a light bar or your therapist's hand, finger, whatever they have. Since I see my therapist virtually, it's usually a dot on the screen at my computer. And they guide you through the memory. And it uses what's called bilateral stimulation to help the brain reprocess that trauma into a safer, less overwhelming way. And like I said, tried it a few times. It's made it easier each time because it isn't a race and it's a process. Now, I do want to let you know that with EMDR, a lot of times, and this is something they've used on a lot of, especially veterans, a lot of times the first time you do it is enough. Unfortunately, not always. Unfortunately, not mine. Mine likes to just sit there and be in my nervous little brain. But we're working on it, and everything I do makes it just a little bit easier each time. It is to the point where I'm no longer screaming at the top of my lungs, basically. Okay? So, going from there, it says, if you're trying to take your life back from fears that feel imaginary, PTSD can make your brain react to things that they don't even look dangerous to anyone else. And that doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. Okay? So if you're trying to take back your life from that, talk to your therapist about the CBT, about EMDR, or any other programs that they can think of that might help you feel safer and more in control again. You don't have to figure it out alone. That's, of course, to our veterans. Please look up your local PTSD programs. There are resources for you. There's support groups, there's therapy programs, there's crisis lines, there's community centers. You deserve support, understanding, and a path forward. Healing isn't linear. It's slow, it's messy, and it's just full of tiny victories that no one else sees. For me, my healing, my tiny victories looked at like I can now ride in a car without screaming. I still close my eyes sometimes, but I breathe through it. I keep myself a little bit calmer. I do avoid city driving, but that's okay if I can help it. I understand my triggers just a little bit more. I'm working with my therapist. I'm working with my coach. I'm using the tools I've learned, and I'm giving myself grace. Those are my tiny victories. Because PTSD is real, it's common, and it deserves compassion, not silence. So now, we're going to move into that second part I told you about, is I basically fix your cats, okay? And I'm going to tell you why this matters more than you think. All right? I know that you're probably thinking, Lily, how did we get from PTSD to cats? Yeah. But the thing is, trauma is not a human experience. We are not the only ones. Animals can have PTSD too. They can have fear responses, panic, shutdowns, and hypervigilance. Right now, currently in my life, I have a little stray cat named Tulio, and he's a perfect example. right quick. Where to get the name from? Who has seen El Dorado? I know there's more of that name. The animated one. And you got Tulio and Miguel. And they're two men that do a bunch of stupid things, basically. So, Tulio. That became his name. But, anyways, again, this is the cat we're talking about. But he's been the perfect example. And this week he has been basically Tulio. He's been himself. He's very sweet. He's clingy. He's confused. He's overwhelmed. He's trying so hard to be brave while his little brain is doing the emotional equivalent of a Windows XP crashing. Alright. He wasn't born a feral, you can tell. He was someone's pet once. He knows people. He knows routines. He wants love so badly it practically leaks out of him. And literally today, we just dropped him off to get fixed. We'll pick him up tomorrow because it's one thing he needs. I also spoke with programs in the area and got him at least on a waiting list for a foster home because he really does need to be indoors. But here's what people don't talk about. Listen, it all goes in together. Is about this waiting list. Currently, for anybody that's in the cat world, they know it is kitten season. This means that shelters are drowning. Every rescue, every foster, every volunteer is overwhelmed. You can't just show up with a cat to a shelter or anything like that and go, hey, cool, your problem now. It doesn't work that way. Tulio and Lenore, who's another stray, they currently do have a safe porch, at least. They're okay there. But the thing is, it's not... It's safer for now, but it's not safe. It's still the outside world. It still has random dogs, animals, people, cars, you name it. But it's what I can do for now. And give them some food. If I could take Tulio in and Lenore, I would. Here's the thing. I don't own my own house. I am maxed out on pets. And let's be real. That little gray cat, Kitsune, she would have an absolute fit. She's still trying to kick her brother Kiki out of the house. Like she's running her little one cat HOA. And as for my cat Kagome, their mama, she's still hoping to be an only cat 11 years later. Yeah. So, I'm going to tell you about a few cats, because they all tie in. We're going to Kagome, and this is my mama cat, and she is basically what we call the snowstorm stray. So she literally came to us in a snowstorm. She was scared, she was skinny, she had a broken ear. As far as I can tell, she was 10 months to a year. And then one day she walked into my little place where I was at the time, and she was like, hey, I live here now. And we said, okay. And then she surprised us with kittens. Because apparently she was hiding that little detail when she came in. She hadn't been outside since we got her, and the vet was like, oh, unless she just got pregnant. Thanks, Gomes. And of course, so she has them kittens. And at 10 weeks, she basically tried to eat. They said kittens out the door, like, alright, you're grown, go pay rent. Sorry, Gomers. We did keep 2 of them. That's Kitsune and Kiki. My sister and my mom adopted the other 2. And that dream of being the only cat for Kagome, gone forever. But the thing is, as cute as kittens are, and Kagome going into heat, it tested both of our sanity. Little baby kittens, adorable, little squeaks, right? Those sweet little squeaks are very loud. I got no sleep. 4 weeks. 4 weeks. Basically, once them kittens were old enough and they were weaned, they all got fixed as soon as possible. I had a celebration day the day I dropped off Kagome and said, please fix her. Yeah, and she's stuck. But the thing is, I got lucky. They got lucky. I was able to find, and I got lucky because I was able to find everyone homes, which included mine in that. But the thing is, most cats don't get that lucky. I'm going to one more cat, and this is Lenore. Now, she's a little different, and she's more well-adjusted. She's more independent. She's more, I've seen things, but I'm handling it. Now, she seems to be, from what I can tell, fixed already. Like, you can, either she is male, I keep saying she, because we're pretty sure she's a she, but either she's male and she ain't got no jingle bells, definitely fixed, or where she's probably female, but she's been around long enough where I haven't seen any heat behavior or her going off with kittens or bringing kittens home. So, fairly positive she's fixed, which is good. She's a very cautious cat. She's a very confident cat. She is street smart, but she's very gentle. She basically she carries her own little trauma quietly. Thing is, Lenore was definitely a pet too. You can tell a feral versus a stray. And so, unfortunately, when you live in an area, sometimes people are just like, I'm moving, I don't need this cat no more, bye, you can take care of yourself. No. So, I know you're not you specifically, but a lot of people may be watching this going, but cats they're apex predators. They're like, they can take care of themselves, right? You watch those videos and they're the apex predator of the outside world, where they get all the birds and stuff like that. And of course we have the big cats like the cheetahs and lions and stuff like that. So they have to be able to take care of themselves. We can just let them loose, right? Well, yes, some can. Yeah. Some of them are tiny little panthers with little murder mittens and night vision goggles, and they survive storms, they survive raccoons, dogs, traffic. But a lot of them, they don't. They really don't. I know Tullio can't, and Lenore shouldn't have to, and Kagome barely did. Most cats are not that lucky. So this is why fixing your cat matters. It helps reduce stress for them and you. It reduces territorial fights. It reduces fear-based behaviors. It reduces spraying. Believe me, that's a thing. It reduces roaming. It reduces disease. It reduces that trauma cycle. So it's not just the, massive amount of kittens that we can't find homes for or can't take care of themselves. Just that alone is actually healthier for cat, male or female. Okay? Females, that's a whole different thing. One, they can't get pregnant, or the kittens. It reduces the possibility of certain cancers. Tullio, and I speak about Tullio because right now, like I said, a lot's going on with him today. He's an unfixed male. Well, not anymore, if it's already happened. We're picking him up tomorrow. By tomorrow, no longer unfixed male. But he was an unfixed male. And unfixed males like him do live in hormonal chaos. They fight, they get injured, they get abandoned, they get scared, they get overwhelmed. And fixing them breaks that cycle. So compassion does matter. I know. A lot of people are like, are you one of the people like, that's your baby? Yes, I am. Those are my babies. But the thing is, we are animals too. It's not that they're just animals. So are we. We're part of that animal kingdom. Sorry to tell you that. We all have nervous systems. We all have instincts. We all have emotional responses. If you can help a creature who can't help themselves by fixing them, by feeding them, protecting them, giving them a safe place to land, that's what matters, and that's what makes a difference. So why am I saying this now? Because trauma shows up in many forms. It shows up in people. It shows up in our veterans, in families, in animals, and the creatures who show up on our porches with big eyes and bigger fears. If we can offer compassion to ourselves, to each other, and to the animals who depend on us, the world gets a little softer. So yeah. Today's yarn went from PTSD to cats to trauma to kitten season to Tullio's Windows XP, Brain, and Kagome's Eat the Children era. But that's life. It's messy, it's chaotic, it's emotional, it's full of creatures, big, small, all just trying to survive the day. If you're struggling, reach out to someone you trust. You don't have to carry everything alone. If you can help, help. Whether it's a person, a veteran, but you know what I mean, a neighbor, or a scared little porch cat. If you're healing, I'm proud of you. Healing is slow. Healing is weird. Healing is non-linear. Give yourself some grace. So please comment, and subscribe, because untangling all these threads will be happening again next week, and you're going to come with me. Progress counts even if you take tiny cat steps, or only move when your nervous system says, okay now. And if you're following along on this chaotic little health journey, you might as well stick around. See you next week.